Are you suffering from knee pain when walking and you're looking for a way to fix it? If you are, then this video has all the answers you need. Hi everybody, my name is Will Harlow and I'm the Over-Fifties specialist physio here at HT Physio in Farnham. And today I'm going to be showing you how to fix your walking for less knee pain. Now, before we dive into the content of today's video, if you haven't already, please like the video and subscribe to the channel, because then you'll be the first to hear about our new videos when they come out. Now that that's been said, let's talk about how to fix your walking when you have knee pain. So knee pain when walking is a really common symptom. Sometimes the knee pain can be as a result of doing too much walking, but a lot of the times knee pain can get in the way of doing enough walking, if that makes sense. So we find that knee pain obviously can be caused by things like arthritis or by meniscus problems or by ligament problems. But what it tends to do is it restricts people from walking. Then because they're not walking as much, their knee muscles get weaker, everything gets tighter, their knee gets stiffer, and then that compounds the knee pain as well. So people can end up in this vicious circle. Now, the other thing that happens when you have knee pain when you're walking is you tend to develop a limp. Now, a limp can often develop as a response to pain because it can reduce the pain temporarily, but in the long run, it can make the knee symptoms worse. So if it's safe to do so, what we usually try and do with our clients here is correct their limping if we can. So today what we're going to talk about is the correct way to walk to put the least amount of stress possible on your knee. We're going to talk about the common mistakes that people make when they've got knee pain and they're walking, and these mistakes can often give them an appearance of a horrible limp and also put more stress on the knee. And then I'm going to give you some really simple tips you can use to maximize your walking and minimize the pain that you're getting in your knee as a result. So let's have a look at these tips now one by one. I've got 5 things to share with you. So the first thing I'm going to share with you in terms of reducing pain when you walk is to make sure that you have the right footwear. Now, if you're walking any distance, it makes sense to pay attention to the shoes on your feet. And this is especially true if you've got knee pain. So the way that your feet are supported by your shoe completely alters the way that your gait pattern looks. If you're walking around in stiff, flat shoes, your gait pattern is going to look different than if you're walking around in trainers with a big, chunky heel. Now, what we recommend for people with knee pain is a couple of simple things. The first thing we recommend for shoes is that you can't fold them in half. They should be a sturdy shoe. Okay, so some trainers nowadays, like the Nike Flyknit range, they're just too flexible for people with knee pain. You can fold them in half. They don't have much support in the sole. It might be okay for people who run who don't have knee problems, but if you have knee pain, it's much better to have a sturdy, stable shoe. The second thing we look for is nice cushioning on the sole. So we want a nice spongy sole, preferably with about at least an inch of height at the back of the heel. What this does when you're walking correctly is it provides shock absorption. So your shoes can act like a shock absorber, so you have less pain or less of a shock going up through the leg when you walk, and then less knee pain as a result. They should also fit really well, so you should make sure you have the right size, preferably down to the half size if you can find it. And they should be comfortable. They shouldn't cause blisters, they shouldn't rub, they shouldn't hurt when you walk. Now, if you're someone who works in the city, for example, and you've got knee pain and you have an office job and you need to wear, smart black shoes, the best thing you can do if you're walking around is to have a pair of trainers that you walk to work in and then you change into your work shoes. The same is true for women who wear heels. If you have an event you're going to, wear trainers right up until you arrive, and then you can change into heels if it's practical to take them in your bag. So that's the best thing you can do. Just minimize the amount of time you spend walking in uncomfortable shoes or shoes that don't fit that well. The other thing you should do is be careful with how much barefoot walking you do at home. There's a big craze at the moment to say that barefoot walking is amazing, it's the best thing everyone should be doing, and to an extent I see the approach from these people, and I do see some of the validity to this claim. But just going from wearing shoes your whole life to barefoot overnight is too quick, it's too much of a shock to the body, and 9 times out of 10 it makes problems worse. Okay, so for the sake of simplicity, if you're struggling with knee pain, ignore the advice from people who say you should walk barefoot all the time. It's not the right time to be trying to introduce that. If you're walking around the house, you're probably better off in slippers, ones that have a firm back to them. Or you can walk barefoot, but only for short periods of time. You'll find that your knee pain is possibly worse when you're barefoot as opposed to trainers. So it might even be worth wearing trainers in the house. So that's footwear. Hopefully that's given you enough detail. Let's talk about the other things you can do when you walk, which should improve your walking and stop you from limping, and therefore improve your knee pain. So when we're talking about how to walk properly with less knee pain, we need to work out what it looks like to walk in the perfect way. And there is a right way to walk, or a correct way to walk. So this way that I'm going to show you has 2 key component parts for you to focus on, which should reduce your knee pain and reduce the stress that's going through the knee to help you have more longevity out of your knees. So I'm going to stand up and show you these 2 parts now. The first one is to do with the foot, which is why we've got the camera set up down low. And the second one is to do with what we do with the knee. Okay, so I'm going to demonstrate to you now. So the first thing that we need to pay attention to is how the foot interacts with the floor. And we call this a heel to toe walking pattern. Let me demonstrate now. So if you watch this leg here, a heel to toe walking pattern, if we slow it down, looks like this. We lead with the heel. So the first thing that contacts the ground as we walk is the heel. And then we step through the foot and we push off through the toe. Okay? So we call this heel to toe. So it looks like this, heel to toe. Okay, remember we're watching my left foot here, heel to toe. And it's amazing how many people have lost the ability to do that when they have knee pain. What we usually see is this, they walk with flat foot. So the foot lands flat, so we lose the heel part. And then as they push off, instead of pushing through the toe, they just lift the foot. And that gives the appearance of a limp. And when we've got a limp, we're taking a bit of stress off the knee in one way, but we're leading to other problems later down the line. So the first thing you need to do when you're walking is to fix that heel to toe pattern. Now the next thing you need to do when you're walking is you pay attention to what's happening at the knee. So we're going to talk about the next part of the walking pattern and see how that looks. So once you've got your heel to toe going, there's another part to the sequence, and that is bending the knee. So it looks something like this. We start with the heel, then we go to the foot, push off through the toe, and the next thing we need to do is we bend the knee as we come through. So it looks something like this. Heel, toe, bend. Okay, I'll show you again. Watch this leg. Heel, toe, bend. Now what we often see with people with knee pain is they might have the heel to toe, but they keep the leg very straight and then they drag it through. Now the problem with doing this, if you keep your leg very straight rather than bending the knee as you walk, you're asking muscles in your hip and muscles at the front of your shin to do all the work to clear the toes from the floor when your foot travels through. Because if those muscles don't pick up the slack, your toe will catch the ground and you'll trip. Okay, so what happens over time is we see people with pain down the front of the shin and pain in the hip flexors because those muscles are having to do twice the work they were designed to do just to stop you from tripping. So we need that element of bending the knee in order to prevent that. So hopefully that improves your gait pattern. Now there are 2 other things you need to make sure you do if you're going to walk and you've got knee pain. The first is to make sure you don't have tight calves. We've spoken about this on other videos. It's very common for people with knee pain to have tight calves, and there's a simple way to fix it. The calf stretch is one of the best things you can do to prepare your legs and your knees for walking. It looks something like this. So let's pretend it's this knee here that has the problem. The calf stretch looks like this. We put our leg to be stretched out behind us. We put the other foot in front We keep the back leg nice and straight, and then we bend the front knee, keeping the heel down on the floor. Now, if we're doing it right, we should notice a stretch on the back of that leg down near the bottom. Now, when you've got that stretch, what you want to do is hold it for 30 seconds and try and repeat that a few times a day to relieve the symptoms of tightness, which can contribute to knee pain. Now, the final thing I'd recommend you do if you're struggling with knee pain when walking and you want to fix your walking is to improve the strength, or at least to pre-activate some of the muscles in the hips. Okay, let me explain. When we walk, the muscles up in the hips, called your gluteal muscles, they are responsible for the alignment of your legs as we walk. And if they're not pulling their weight, what tends to happen is we get knock-kneed. The knees start to fall inwards. Okay, that's not good. It puts pressure on the front of the knee and it can aggravate symptoms behind the kneecap as well. Now, you might be thinking, oh, it takes ages to build strength, and it can take a while. But what we can do to shortcut the process to build strength and help these muscles is just to make sure they're switched on. And we can do that really, really easily, okay? Let me show you a great tip for an exercise you can do just before you walk to improve the activation of these muscles so you can walk further for longer with less pain. So all you need for this exercise is a nice thick resistance band. So I've got one here. It should be pretty tough. It should be a tough, strong one. You can get these online very easily. And what you want to do from a sitting position is you're going to tie your knees together, and you tie it just around the tops of the knees, and you want them to be tied as tight as you can tie them. Okay, do a double knot like that and tie it fast. Now you're going to sit up in your chair nice and tall. You're going to take your feet apart so your knees are knock-kneed and your feet are apart, and then you're going to use your muscles in your hips to try and pull the band apart, and then relax. And you're going to go out again, hold for a second, and then relax, and out again, and hold for a second, and then relax. And what I can feel now is I can feel the muscles around the back of my hips having to work to pull my knees apart. Now what I want to do is I want to just keep going until I get a bit of a working ache around these muscles. It should be quite difficult by the time you stop. You might be able to do quite a few, so 10 to 15 of these in a row. And once you've done that number, you should have a bit of an ache around the backs of the hips. Now, if you start to walk, what you'll notice after you've done this is that those muscles switch on very easily. So they are what we call pre-activated. They're activated and they're ready to go, and they're going to start working better than if you walk without having switched them on first. It sounds like a funny trick, but it works really well. So next time you're out walking, if you do this before, I promise your knee pain is most likely to be reduced as a result. So those are the 5 simple things you can do to fix your walking and reduce knee pain. I hope that's all made sense, and I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, please leave me a comment below, because I love to read your comments and I try to get back to every single one. Anyway, if you've enjoyed this video, what you can do is you can subscribe to the channel, as we've said. You can take a copy of my knee pain guide, which is free, below this video. But you can also pick up a copy of my book. It's called Thriving Beyond 50, and you can find it on Amazon using the link below this video. It has loads more tips about knee pain and how to improve it. Anyway, that's all I've got for you today. Thank you very much for watching, and I look forward to speaking to you on the next video.